Okay, so here we go on our first Beauty Council Blab. In this corner here, over here, we have Denise Meekley. Is that right, Denise?
Nicole,
Owner of Salon Origins here in Vancouver. Below me, I've got Stephanie Wright, the owner of Mystique Hair and Mystique Hair in White Rock. She's the creative director there as well. And down there is Marion Shaw, author, speaker, and salon educator. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, so what we're talking about today is community, and community in terms of salons and the salon business, and what it means, and why it matters, and why we should be involved, and the importance that it has, really, not only to us as salon owners and people in the salon industry, but also to our clients as well. So I'm just wondering if one of us can just talk about what community is. I mean, I think a lot of people don't really quite understand what community is. Does anyone want to define that? Stephanie, you want to chime in?
I'll take that.
All right.
To me, well, I actually looked up the definition of community, and it's a feeling of fellowship with others. And I've really, after being in the industry for 30 odd years now, I feel we've really lost that type of feeling. And the more I get out there and talk to other people today, that seems to be the element that people are really wanting now. Gone is the day where we, as salon owners and other stylists, we're not so much, going, don't see what I'm doing over here. This is my business. There's more and more of us getting together through events and social events, shows, fundraisers, and that feeling still keeps coming up for everybody. It's just wanting to help each other out, wanting to support each other. And this is something that, it's not just as salon owners, but also as hairstylists. We want to be inspired. We want to grow in this industry, and who better to grow with or from our peers or our mentors. It's fine to have a healthy competition, but keep it healthy. There's so many people that are blaming others for this, that, and the other. It's like, let's just stop putting a blame game out there. Blaming anybody for what's not being done or what could be done and so on. Let's stop that. That just hurts people. Let's get together and create that sense of community. I went to a fundraiser the other night, and it's so inspiring for me, and as well as my staff, to be a part of something like that, because we're helping each other out. Last Tuesday night example, that was a perfect example right there at Suki's when we had the fundraiser for Michelle Pargy. And, afterwards talking to a few people, it was, why aren't we doing more of this? Why aren't we? We're here to support each other. Who better than our own peers and people within our industry to help each other out?
Do you feel like our distributors and product lines have kept us separate from, building that between each other?
In a sense, yes. Why not get in an arena and have all of the distributors together in one room? So instead of being separate, let's start with a community right there. A community of distributorships, a community of product lines. Everybody getting together in the one arena and start with that. Right. First, I think to be successful in something like this, we have to have a vision. We have to have a future goal in mind and start with that. And then from there, we can trickle down and figure out how this is going to work or how we can create it.
Yeah.
Discovering what are not only our strengths, but what are the weaknesses. With the strengths, we can put people into place that are excel at certain things, but then let's work on the weaknesses to create more of a success. So to answer your question, Stephanie, I think that distributorships kind of keep things separate, and it's just that won't help. I think we need to change our way of thinking with that.
Can I just jump in here? And I'm going to speak on behalf of Beauty
Please.
Council here, because this is something that we are really trying hard to do. Again, people are so separated, and we've kind of realized this. And I think the industry has become incredibly fragmented over the past few years. And I know that we're kind of on a new direction and really trying to bring community back together. We're creating events. We're creating a lot of information on our website, a lot of great newsletters, just to try and kind of bring people together and have a resource where the community can actually help each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's, something that we feel is very important. That's kind of our mission this year. In fact, I believe on Wednesday, we've created a really great salon folder, and I'm going to be personally visiting as many salons as I possibly can in the Lower Mainland.
Yay.
handing them over the folder and just talking to them, finding out, what do you want? What are your challenges? What are the things that you need from us as the association, but also, again, from the community.
Yeah. So just to kind of tie it all together then, so there's kind of, we've had a little bit of a discussion here where maybe the manufacturers, because they want to kind of hold on to their client base, they sort of, distributors and manufacturers tend to have a main goal, and that is that they would like to see you be more successful as a salon, but primarily through their product and through the education that their product has to offer, right? Mm-hmm. And they don't really have the necessary the resources or even the bandwidth, let's say the mental bandwidth, to go in and say, now we're going to get all of you together. There are the exceptions, for example, maybe the ABA and some other instances where distributors do collaborate with others. But for the most part, I can see why they've got their priorities, and really that's what they need to do. So is it then the place of somebody other than them and in ourselves to create, because we're talking about what is community anyways. So then do we make it ourselves, or do we have to have somebody else make it for us?
Well, that's a loaded question. I think
I tried.
One of the things with just going back to the distributors is having once been in that kind of area of distribution and product, etc. I do know that the distributors are under a tremendous amount of pressure to meet their goals for their products, and it's always if you don't increase,
sure,
sorry, but you've lost the line. And so their priorities have to be there in order to be able to literally, carry on their business. It would be great to have a combined distributor show and just have some great education for everyone. I think that would be a fabulous idea. But I think it does take kind of an outside, because it takes a lot of work. And as salon owners, you guys are you're both busy. I know how many hours both of you put in, and to try and kind of do everything and arrange stuff and get people together, it's difficult. So I think it does take a third party to do that. And I know, again, speaking on behalf of Beauty Council, that's what we're trying to do. And we're kind of trying to be that third party, and there are some great ideas coming in the pipeline. We talked about education, of bringing salons together in various locations, just basically to have a hair jam.
Yeah. So Denise, let's go back to maybe some examples of the community. You were mentioning the fundraiser for Michel Parget.
Yes.
You were there. I was there. Can you just describe that a little bit for all of us and our viewers too, just in terms of what happened and why it was so important?
Absolutely. Michel Parget is a fellow hairstylist, fellow mentor for thousands of stylists and owners around the world, and I've been inspired by her for many, many years. She's been doing hair as long as I have, and Michelle is the type of person that has given herself selflessly over the years through her mentorship and supporting anybody that's having issues with it, whether it comes to coloring or a photo shoot or whatever it may be. Michelle is a very young grandmother, and she's also a mother of two young children, and is now for the second time in her fight against cancer. And so with what's happening, she's sold her business now recently. She's going to be moving with the support of her family and so on. But all these things that have come up, that the cost of the exams and everything she's having to go through, and trying to raise her two young children, and she's not working. A lot of us just saw that, my God, like, this is one of our own that needs some help. So with Dana Lysing, Amber George, and Joan Novak, the three of them collaborated together to organize this fundraiser at Suki's hair salon on Granville Street. And it was so amazing and overwhelming to see how many people showed up that night just in support of Michelle, because she's touched so many lives over the years.
Cool.
Joan also started a GoFundMe that day, and through the donations that evening of everyone showing up and the GoFundMe that evening or that day, they at the end of that night had raised over $3,000, I believe, just in one day. I mean, just in one day. If we had the ability to do something like that, imagine what we can do as a bigger community. You know, I'm sure Michelle's not the only one that's going through these kind of hardships. This cancer hits people every single day. And those are just the things that we don't even hear about. You know, there are people that, good grief, we don't know about these people that hurt themselves at work or on the way to work and end up in the hospital. And, you know, we, in this industry, we rely so much on our physical hands and our mental well-being and such. When we have things going on, it's really hard to stay focused. So to be successful, and whatever that may look like for some, why don't we get together and just support each other? Because a lot of times there's people out there that don't have that kind of help, or family support, or financial support. So let's start with that.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, part of one of the things I suppose about community is a group of people helping individuals. Is that right? And
absolutely.
Stephanie, I think you've done some work as well too, have you not? You've done some. I mean, you had I've been to your opening, but in what ways can you describe to me in what ways that you've been part of community, maybe within the hair industry, or we can even segue here to outside the hair industry. In what ways did you work in the community at large?
Yeah, I have two parts to that question.
Okay.
I went, when I opened Mystique 10 years ago, knocking on other owners' doors and just wanted a coffee, an hour of different people's time that carried the same lines as me. And I got a door shut in my face constantly until I hopped a ferry and went over to the island. And I finally got one owner to talk to me that carried the same line. But I think we shouldn't look at each other as competition. I think we should look at each other as elevating the industry and open that door to each other. And I think social media has driven that a little bit better, where people are trying to work together a little bit more. I also am unique. I go to church, and I have a community of people that support me within a church group. And so I think I've always craved that in my hair too. So I've actually kept my lines, and I've kept good loyalties with the lines that I've kept good relationships and stuff. But I do think that it needs to be bigger and better. I think that we could all elevate our industry so much better and work together a lot more successfully.
Yeah. And so, Marion, and I love that. That's all really great stuff. And Denise, thanks for the roundup as well too on the Michel Parget. And at the end of this, I will post a link to anything that we're talking about. So we're doing all the work for you.
Perfect.
But Marion, can you then Marion, can you then describe to me like how does working together as a group far outweigh the ability for us to work individually, because it really is what community it defines it, does it not? It's this group effort.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, the old saying, there's always strength in numbers.
Sure. Yeah.
And the thing I love about when you get together with people is everyone has, there's agreement on certain things, but there are always people who come along that have very different outlooks on things and a very different take on certain subjects. And I find that really interesting and often really helpful, because it opens you up, and you all of a sudden you go, wow, I never thought of that. That's really cool. And so it really helps you to kind of bring in new ideas and bring in new aspects on certain subjects. So I find that's really important. And I mean, I find in meetings and just kind of talking with people, you'll hear someone say, well, I think this, or I think we should do this, or this is what I'm doing. And sometimes it's something like, I never thought of that.
Right.
That's really cool. And I think that's the whole advantage of being part of a community. You lose that tunnel vision. And there are ideas that come along that all of a sudden you can, you're outside the box, and you may be outside of your comfort level for a while. But, if you think about it, and, if someone shares it, you can always go back to them and say, hey, can you expand on that a little bit? I think that's a fabulous idea.
Right.
And I'd like to take that on. So I think the main importance of community is the sharing of ideas and the sharing of different aspects of and different ways of looking at things. And you always learn. You learn stuff.
And I think when you do, when you have authentic communication with another owner, when somebody is sharing their heart the same way, and their troubles and their worries, it's all the same. It all comes to staffing. It comes to the product lines that we're bringing in and the service that we're giving to our clients. And when we're actually having authentic relationships with each other, we realize we're all running the same business. We're in different cities, but we can all give each other a little bit of a boost.
Yeah. And even in the same city, I mean, there's lots of clients to go around.
Yeah,
there really are.
Oh yeah.
And and I think to be able to communicate with people in your own community, with other owners in your own community, other salons in your own community, first of all, you find out what they're doing, and maybe it makes you say, okay, well, I'm going to do something different. Yeah. But there's business is business. As you say, we all have the same challenge. The main challenge, one of the main challenges is being profitable.
Yes.
Another one is, how do I find the right staff? How do I develop stylists? How do I do this? So everyone has the same challenges.
Yeah.
And, the great thing is that many people,
true.
Look at things differently. It's, well, wow, he's doing this. This is really neat.
Or somebody who's had a couple more years on you.
Oh, yeah.
I was so green and so naive when I came in. I was a 26-year-old. I had won some like great things with hair, and but I had no idea what I was doing, and so I was looking for mentors, and I wasn't looking to steal anybody's business plan. I did have my own, and I had my own way of what I thought was going to be right. It's changed in the last 10 years dramatically, a lot. But I was just looking for somebody to kind of come and be under their wings slightly with no pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so true. I mean, we all have these common issues, and I suppose this is sort of one of my other questions too, is that we all have common issues, but we all have slightly different ones as well too. How can we align what we need as an individual business with what we're trying to achieve together as a community? Any thoughts on that? Because we all do come in with something slightly different, but how do we, like, do you go in with sort of a checklist, or do you just go in open-minded, or do you follow up after the fact? So you go to something, or you're part of something that's a group, but then you really want to walk away with something, right? Mm-hmm. Any thoughts on how we can do that?
Oh, wow.
I suppose part of it is preparation, right? Like, it's like,
yeah, but often things kind of come along as you're going. I think communication. If you're talking to someone and you think that their ideas are really interesting, then get their phone number, get their email address,
right?
Send them a message. Thank them for the information. Just tell them how interesting you found their information, and can we get together for coffee? Can we do a phone call?
Okay.
I think so many times people will say, "Oh yeah, I got this great idea," or "Yeah, I'm happy to talk to you," and you go, "Oh, that's great," and then you don't do anything about it. And
follow through.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So certainly when you're there, is like you say, take notes, take your business card. I've been to a lot of community events, and I say we start chit chatting, and then actually I met somebody at that event, Denise, that you were chatting about at Suki's, and we had a quick discussion. But we sort of we wouldn't have met had we not both been there, but we both walked away with an appointment to talk about something that she's doing that I know I can work in with her. So, it's sort of, we made a plan. We've already connected. So is that what you're talking about really, Marion? Is that you have to kind of go in with a plan and sort of try and come up with something, not just for the sake of what you all accomplished together, but also for your own sake as well, right? As a business or a person?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, a lot of times, particularly when you go into a fundraiser or something like that, you probably don't go in with the intention of, well, I'm going to, contact with certain people in order to do whatever. Right. You have no idea who's going to be there. But, I think it's being able to go talk to people, introduce yourself to people that you don't know. Find out what they're about, ask questions. And say, get their contact information if you feel it's something that's interested in, and follow up.
Yeah. Okay. I want to switch gears just slightly, and let's talk about how your customers can be affected by your involvement in community as well, because we all have our own personal beliefs and our own personal agendas, certainly, and then we have a business agenda as well, which can sometimes and should reflect your own personal agenda if you've gone through a branding exercise properly. But, each one of your customers and clients are somewhat aligned with the principles of your business. There's a certain amount of alignment, right? In what ways can sort of involving yourself in community reflect, be popular, let's say, with your clients? In other words, let's say you go to an event and you say, hey, we're part of a fundraiser for the local fire hall, which burnt down last week, or something like that. Mm-hmm. How can we make sure that our clients care about that, identify with it, and then we build a stronger bond with our clients as well too? Because let's face it, that's the name of the game too, right? Mm-hmm. Any thoughts on how we can kind of identify that and connect it all together?
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Oh. Sorry. Well, we do different ones each year. And then we do a couple of things every few months where our clients know that we're doing it too. But if we have directly, like what Denise was talking about, with somebody in the community or somebody within like our client list that's going through cancer, or that we know that there's a fundraiser coming up, we will definitely right away put everything down and be there. Whatever way we can. But within the community, we actually help with a lingerie company and their charity called Supportive Start. So they give women in shelters a bra fitting, and then we do, the hair and makeup part of it so that they can get themselves on their feet after they've been in this women's shelter for X amount of time. But we've done tons of cancer stuff. We've done teen moms programs. And when we launch things, when we put it out there as a newsletter or in front of our clients and talk about it, people are so willing to support. And GoFundMe is something that's a little bit newer in the last couple of years, but before, we've had donation boxes out. We've had people drop things off for these different charities at our salon, and it makes us feel like they're on board with what we launch. And part of the team, and then it makes you feel like a stronger bond between your clients. They're excited about what you're doing. You're excited about what they're doing, and you're supporting them too. So we don't just do one cancer fundraiser a year. We'll do it for breast cancer because so-and-so is going through that. We'll do a run. We'll do a walk. We'll do like a small fundraiser in-house. We'll do those kinds of things, and we'll let our clients know. And I think verbally, behind the chair and in the salon, when you're talking about that kind of stuff, what you're doing, it adds another level with your clients of even just excitement and respect.
Wow, I love it. That is amazing. Denise, can you cite some examples too of how you make that connection?
Yeah, absolutely. What comes to my mind is my staff and I had the opportunity to be a part of Brilliant this year. I don't know if anybody out there knows or has heard about Brilliant with Dean Thellner.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So that's another one.
But going back to Brilliant.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I was just going to say it's a fundraiser for mental health held by the St. Paul's Hospital.
Yes, through St. Paul's Hospital. That's correct. And talking to our guests about what we're doing and showing some of them the hair pieces that we're creating, we get excited. And when we get excited, our guests get excited, and they wanted, anything that they can do to help out. I had one guest that wanted to help out with catering the next time, and so on. Those sort of things really have a rippling effect on doing good and just making this place a better place to be and be a part of. It was so inspiring for us and more especially us bonding together as a team together, my staff and I, and what we created, and working on that for 6 months, and then that evening you see everything come together, the makeup artists, the models, the stylists, the hairstylists, and what Dean has done this past year, he tripled what he created the year before. Wow. It's just absolutely amazing. Awesome. You start talking more and more about it. In 2014 they did 300,000, and this past year they did $1.45 million.
Wow! Yeah.
Wow!
It's amazing. You can't even. It was absolutely wonderful to be a part of something like that. I mean, I just get excited when I talk about it.
I can tell,
And those are the kind of things that that jazz me. And like I said, it's got a rippling effect.
Totally has a rippling.
Yeah, I think one thing that's important is that, having our clients know that we do things, that we do this within the community. I think it gives them a lot more respect for the community, for us. We're all small businesses, and I think people like to support their small businesses in their community. And I think, when they see you doing stuff out in the community and doing fundraising and helping with causes, I think it really elevates our profession, basically, in their eyes, which is really great. And they like to support, their local people. I know that both of you, because you're pretty prolific on Facebook and social networking, and I'm always seeing the stuff that you do, and it's amazing, and so you post on Facebook. But what other ways? You were saying that newsletters, Steph, you send out newsletters and let your clients know what you're doing, and
mostly newsletters and campaigns and stuff of what we're doing. Things have changed as the 10 years that I've been in business. We used to send a lot of snail mail, even birthday cards. But we don't want to flood people's inboxes. So we try and do, like kind of every 2 to 3 months. But we're in their line of vision all the time with social media, with Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that expression, in their line of vision. I think that's a book that could be written, actually. But why don't we try and give some practical examples of exactly how you can be in that line of vision? So, for example, Denise, you were talking about some of the headpieces. Would you ever consider having those on display in your salon? Stephanie, if you were dealing with some lingerie, I mean, would you put some of that, hang it in the door? I mean, sort of a little bit of a showstopper in some ways, just to bring attention to it.
Yeah.
Why is that bra on the cash register?
As far as those headpieces, I would.
I'll take her headpieces. I'll take them.
Sorry, Denise, go ahead.
Your imagination's running wild there, Greg.
Maybe we should get together to figure this out. Those headpieces, I would love to, but my place is so small, and these pieces are huge. But I have to say, like, one thing, the day after the show, I had a photographer get a hold of me from LA, of all places, that wanted to shoot some of those pieces.
Okay.
And so what I'm going to do, she's actually coming up here this summer, and we're going to get together. We're going to collaborate. We're going to create this photo shoot with some of these pieces.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And be able to display photos of them, professional photos of the pieces within the salon. The pieces, like I said, the pieces themselves are, like, some of them are like 3 feet tall and so on. It's in the works.
Okay, so you would take your community engagement and your involvement and basically turn it into an art exhibit, and you could display that, I suppose, in your salon, and then transform that into sort of an ongoing, like an exhibit, really, right? Mm-hmm. That's very cool.
If,
I like
you know what? If it's going to inspire somebody else to do something similar, by all means, absolutely, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
And it starts the conversation. Why are these here? This is what we did. This is for mental health.
Right.
This is for cancer research. This is for, it starts the conversation. And our passion, if we get our teams on board with the things, and that's where I've actually learned to not necessarily take my own vision all the time and go with things that my staff come to me with. Hey, my client is suffering from this, and I'd really love to be part of this. Let's do this. Let's roll it. And they bring me what they're excited about. And I get way more team participation from when they come up with the idea than when I do.
Oh, okay. So I like that, Steph. I just want to stop there for a sec. So it's important to include our staff, right? It's important to bring our team. It can't just be about you and your cause and what it is that, right? Is that what you're suggesting? And really actively involving the staff as well, or the team? Yeah.
You don't want to, I mean, a lot of our work is charity work. So charity work is free. And that's demanding of time away from our families, time away from the chair, time away from, like anything that's going on in our life. So you do have to have everybody participating and everybody excited to participate and in line with the vision of why they're participating in order for you to have a successful, as like what Denise was saying, those headpieces that are 3 feet tall. Yeah. That doesn't take 2 hours to make. That's some insane time. That goes behind that. And then for them to engage in a conversation, I've had it before where I didn't demand their time, but I did ask them to do something, a number of years ago that was definitely for me. And I didn't get their participation in it fast enough. And so it backfired on me. And I ended up feeling like, why isn't anybody wanting to do this? Why isn't anybody talking about this? Why aren't they telling their clients this is so exciting? But I realized, I realized in just talking to somebody else that it was exciting for me and me only.
Stephanie, when
I'd like to. So
when you hire people, do you talk to them at all about the fact that you do events and that you expect participation on a volunteer basis from them, or is this something that you mentioned?
I make sure that as I usually am part of the second or the third interview. I'm not part of the first. And so if they in the first or second interviews haven't even read my website or my vision or mission statement as a like coming into those, they usually don't get past that, because we want to know that they do align with that. And that I say at every single staff meeting that we have, the biggest thing that attracted you to Mystique is also the thing that is going to, in any relationship, it's also going to be the thing that gets you after a while. I love that we do so much training and that we have these staff meetings and that we communicate, but it's also the thing that gets so tiring, that we do all these staff meetings and that we have all this training and that we communicate so well. In a marriage, it's the same way. The things that you thought were so funny about your spouse or whoever turn into be the things that annoy you. And so I do talk about that really openly. We just had a staff meeting this week where I said that, thank you so much for your time, because, these are the things that attracted you to Mystique, and this 3 hours is going to be worth it. But I know leaving your families at dinner time is not easy. So it's an annoying thing, but it's a good thing in the end.
Right. So it's a question of, it's a really interesting thread you guys are on here. So it's a combination of, managing the expectations of your team, but also being very grateful and showing the gratitude at the end of the process, or even during
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah. Well,
showing gratitude is huge.
It's a well-known fact.
Got to celebrate your team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And truthfully, we can always get new team members and always get new people. But if you're happy with the people that are in your salon, say it. Say thank you. Well done. Job well done. High five in the back.
And it's the greatest motivator.
We as owners need to be more humble and able to do that too. Accept and high five and cheer each other on. I love hearing that Denise did that. I want to be her assistant next year.
Okay.
I was recently at a staff meeting about a month or so ago. I was asked to sitting on a staff meeting just for the last half hour. And what I thought was really, really great was the last few minutes of the staff meeting. They went around every team member, and every team member had to do a shout out for another team member.
Oh, I like that. Really I like that a lot.
So, everyone left the staff meeting feeling really good. People had said good things about each other, and there were hugs and goodness knows what. And the staff meeting actually was amazing. It was really good.
That's awesome.
And afterwards, the owner had said to me, it's really interesting, because I had one girl who, when I said that we were having a half-day staff meeting, just kind of, oh, God. And she said that she used to dread staff meetings at her previous salon, because all it was, a big bitching and complaining session. And after the staff meeting, she said, oh, my God, she said, that was so incredible. I loved it. And I think that's one thing that's important. You've got catch people doing something right.
Yes.
It's important.
Well, that in itself is community too, right? I mean, it's the community of your salon, and that then is successful in an outside community, right? You have to have it. You have to have it built right inside if it's going to work outside.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just a last question here. So, just in terms of staffing, because I like the thread we're going on here, is it important when we're hiring staff to really look for things like volunteer experience or a clear indication that people really are involved in something just beyond their own little world of them cutting hair or doing services or whatever it is they're doing? What do you think? Denise, do you want to chime in on that to start with?
So, say that one more time.
Sorry? So how important is it for salon owners to hire or get involved with people who have a demonstrated volunteer experience or are clearly community minded?
Okay, that's a great question. Someone that I'm looking for for my team is someone who is willing to learn and to grasp and to change their way of thinking. And through volunteering, actually, that's one of the things that I do talk to them about in the interview, as well as signing the employee contract, that they will participate in at least 2 fundraising events per year. And what I'm looking for someone that's wants to do
your
that.
employment contract, is it? You actually put that in?
Absolutely. So that they understand that, yes, they are dedicating to at least 2 events per year as a team building event as well, not just helping out in the community or whatever we happen to be doing. So it's already somebody that is that like-minded. That's who I'm looking for, is someone who is willing to put themselves out there, as uncomfortable as it may be. For an example, I had one of my staff members that was so resistant to doing Brilliant, so resistant, and I reminded that person, you have, this is in your agreement, and was very resistant to the whole process. And the biggest thing I got from that entire journey for us was when that person came to me in the end and said, I'm so glad you had me do this. I just really enjoyed it so much more, because in the past that person has had bad experiences with fashion shows or whatever that would have been. And to turn that person around was my biggest success in that whole experience. So to find someone already that isn't a volunteer mindset or willing to do that, oh my God, that's my diamond in the rough right there.
Very cool.
And if they're not, then at least we're honest with each other. As long as they're honest with me and in the beginning, then I can make the decision. Okay, well maybe this person just hasn't had a good experience in that yet. I know that's a really good question. I'm sorry I can't give you a very
I love the
answer.
fact that it's part of your employment contract. What about you, Stephanie? How do you factor in this to your hiring process?
I'm the same. I have it in my employment contract.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
They and I also have how much extra education is required per year that is not paid for by me.
Very
wow. That's also in their employment contract. Well, you live and you learn.
Yes.
and I think,
the other thing I have in my contract too is if I pay for half, or if I pay for the entire thing, and that person decides to leave within a year, it's in the contract that they have to pay me back.
Yeah.
Okay.
They leave within a year.
Good.
You live and learn.
It comes down to clarity. It really does, because so many salons hire people and they're not clear about what their expectations are, and they're also not interested in what the the potential employees' expectations are. And I mean, it is very much a two-way street. And I like what you had to say, Stephanie, about it's not always what you want to fundraise for or what you want to do. Get your staff involved as well. But, so many times people they don't have policies and procedures manuals. They don't have, proper contracts and agreements. And a lot of times they just don't have an understanding of what the salon's all about. And I think what was also interesting was, and this is something that when I'm talking to students and we're talking about how do you get a job, think about what's important to you in a salon. What are you looking for? And then do some research. Go on everybody's website, find out who the owner is, look at their image, look at, what their mission statement is. Get to know that salon before you even go in there.
Absolutely.
I hate it. I hate it when people, and I've seen it, you're sitting in a salon and somebody will walk into the salon with a resume and kind of drop it on the desk and say, is it okay if I leave this with you? It's like,
no, it isn't.
Enthusiasm.
Don't leave it here unless you're wanting to talk to me.
That's I think a big reason for that. I see that we've lost throughout the years professionalism.
Yes.
That is something that I am really, really strong about in my business and with my team, that we look and we act professional from open to close.
Yes.
And it's a constant learning for these guys. And I'm but in that, communication is so key. And Marion, you touched on that too, is, just putting the message out there, making sure everybody understands the clarity, the communication has got to be there. If it's not, that's where things are going to get lost. And people are going to become unhappy, and unhappy employees leave. So let's keep the communication open. I'm always telling my staff, my door is always open. I may not give you the reaction that you want all the time, but I'm honest, and you always know where you stand with me.
Yeah.
And my staff really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're human. We have bad days. I get that. Right.
Yeah.
Everybody does. Yeah.
Listen, I want to. I just want to say thank you so much, guys, because we are out of time. I thought this was a really great conversation, and I've learned a lot.
It was fun.
I think we've really established what community is and how we can make it really play to the advantage, not only of the people who are receiving, but certainly to our own teams and to our own businesses as well. So thank you very much.
It's a good start, Greg. Thanks for this.
Yeah.
Okay.